Crayon Perception of God. Hello, dear ones. I am Kryon from the Magnetic Service. There are those who will contemplate the awareness of God and be amazed. Is it possible at all to conceive such highly vibrational attributes of three-dimensionality? Moreover, channeling should represent the consciousness of God through a human being. How can this be? Again, we will tell you that therein lies the mystery of what you are seeing before you. Many people come to this planet possessing the ability to be a spiritual translator of such phenomena. 056, and many of them are in the room now, and we know who they are. This applies not only to those who can conduct channeling, like the one my partner is doing now. This applies to those. In this room are those who call themselves healers, because they have the same task as faith scientists or teachers, and that task is to translate the message of perception into a three-dimensional and practical metaphor. It often happens that a healer stands before a person who comes to them for help, and the minds of these two know less than half of what is happening. The insight of the higher energy flows through them, that energy which we call channeling. Completing this scene for them, it tells them where to touch and what energies to unfold. It gives instructions on how to act softly or energetically. This is channeling. A teacher stands before a blank sheet of paper and asks, "What next?" And on this paper begins to flow information for a new sermon. And this is channeling. The one sitting on the chair, preparing for meditation, clearing their mind for it. They don't give God a long list of what's wrong in their life. On the contrary, this sage knows that God is always with them, that God knows everything that has happened to them up to the moment they sat down. So we say again, "Blessed is the one who is silent and asks, dear God, tell me what I need to know," leaving all prejudices and biases about what, in their opinion, the answer should be. They are ready to accept themselves, welcoming the wisdom within them. They perceive God as a friend. Is that how you're behaving today, you who are reading these lines? Or have you already decided in advance what you will receive? It's quite difficult to clear your mind from possibilities because the human being automatically fills it with expectations. It's part of the survival script that you know so well, which has kept you living in fear for centuries. Dear one, if you've reached the point where you desperately need answers and you want to hear numbers or words, don't be upset if all you receive is a hug, because that is the answer. In the language of the spirit, hugs mean that practically the answers are already coming to you. You will receive them, you will see them, and synchronicity will bring them to you. So hugs mean relax. Without this relaxation, you will make decisions that will hinder the synchronicity that needs to happen. So hugs are the answer, aren't they? They say that you are not alone. They say that the answers truly exist and that they are coming to you. The whole seminar, the whole day, was dedicated to perceptual connection. From information about the alignment of 2012 to what my partner calls quantum perception. It was all about what he was told to teach. Through synchronicity, he received the main points of this teaching. How does it work? Whoever stands on the stage, whether author or mothers with children, the answers come just like that. Mum loves her children very much and wants them to possess the wisdom that is not necessary for them now. She doesn't want them to repeat obvious mistakes. Let me give you advice. Teach your children what you know about blocks. That's the answer. Don't teach a child what was wrong in what they did or what was wrong in what you did in the past. Don't teach a child the lineage of mistakes you made. Instead, look into the child's eyes and say, "I want to tell you about what I found, and it's the most important thing for me. It's above any conflicts between fathers and children. I found God within myself, and there is God in you too. Let them understand that they can find Him however they want, but it will help them avoid trouble, become wise, and be in the right place at the right time. This is the best thing you can give a child." Quantum lesson. Today, we have a quantum lesson, and the word quantum is used more commonly than in scientific terms. In our lesson, it means something seemingly meaningless, random, but in reality, it has purpose and a system for that purpose. You can't understand the logic of it because it's beyond your spatial perception. So today, I want perception to be the theme of the message, the foundation of what will be published. I want to show you how human beings perceive God in the old and new energy, and how God perceives humanity. We will gather together pieces of everything I've taught during the 21 years so that you can read it all again in its entirety as a message about perception. Human beings are changing their thinking, but it cannot change to the extent that it goes beyond what you call survival instinct in three-dimensionality. Because within the reality you describe as everything there is, there's a box where you put God, and that box is God. It hinders you in everything you do. Think about it. Think about what people have done with energy, with the feeling of energy, over all these years. And how have you reacted to it? Energy is what you attribute to other entities. When you feel something not part of your reality, does it bother you? Do you react to it in two ways? Either worship it or fear it. Few human beings absorb it because it scares them, right? If it's not within the box of your expectations reality, then do you react? If a miracle happens, what do? You say, "Thank you, God," and therefore this faith goes to a divine force you can't see or understand and is inexplicable. If there's a bang in the middle of the night, then it's the devil, it's evil, you understand? Unusual energy makes you react instead of imagining it's something you could have produced yourself. And now, let me expand your box a little. What if all those things I just listed are normal? What if they are part of the human instead of being outside the human? What if instead of closing your box to these occurrences, you build a bigger box? If that suits you, do it. Take your box, open it up, and include energies you don't understand into your box or reality. Here's your invitation next time you experience unusual healings or something beyond the normal, something you might even call spontaneous enlightenment. Why not say, "Thank you, Creator within me, for allowing this to manifest"? Why not say, "I am all-powerful and I am part of God, and for all that has happened, I am grateful, in the name of who I am, the creative part of the universe, learning to unfold my energy." And now, when there's an unexpected bang in the middle of the night, you and others around you automatically perceive it as something scary, but perhaps it's just energy. Perhaps it's part of an energetic system we've already discussed, where dramatic moments are inserted like an energy stamp. The bang remains like a tape recorder, repeating over and over. This energy created by drama, but it looks alive, like it's an entity, right? You can experience it, feel it in such a way, noting that it repeats the same thing over and over. It's really energy, it can be experienced and measured, but it's not evil, it has no mind. It's just a repeating energy pattern, and it's part of the human experience system, imprinted in the woods. So what does it beg you to do? Clear it. We've told you this before because your energetic allowance contains attributes saying that light is stronger than darkness. Light is active and darkness is passive. Therefore, if you have a dark room and you open the door, darkness doesn't pour out. Instead, you bring in a source of light, and darkness disappears because it can't exist there with the light, see? Darkness has no substance because it's defined as the absence of light. Therefore, if you encounter energy that, as you feel, carries the imprint of inappropriateness for this area, turn on your light, and this energy will go away. It's so simple, you can address it. You can say to this drama energy, "Go away," because you no longer have a purpose. Let there be light in this place. Do these words make you an exorcist? They make you an energy worker. You direct the energy. They are in essence embodying evil. It's time to expand that box you've placed reality in. Or perhaps it's time to destroy it. Human perception locks away what's called the grandeur of God and the forces of evil. Both are just perceptions of human energy. Let me tell you about our perception. That each of you carries a majestic potential, capable of controlling energies for yourselves around you, your life. Fear no energy. If you encounter something inappropriate, cleanse it. If you encounter something grand, proclaim it your strength, and then move forward to the next step. Do you hear what I'm saying? You're evolving, and it's time to make a shift in perception, isn't it? Look at energies as part of your space and under your control. Fear of God. Humanity has constantly placed God in a box of fear. Humanity fears God, don't they? That's because God appears enormous, while people are small. Let's talk about this human perception. Humans want to project human attributes onto the divine. You have nothing else to compare it to, so you apply all human traits to the divine. When you humans step beyond the veil of your historical perception, you try to find a struggle. You seek conflict. You start looking for angels fighting other angels. That's your mythology, isn't it? You start looking for all human attributes that you've completely and wholly glued onto God. You start looking for punishment and reward, revenge and jealousy. Dear ones, do I really have to tell you that all this doesn't exist on my side of the veil? I want to tell you that it exists on my side of the veil. It's the rainbow of majestic energy that sings a message in color and light. There's no struggle here. There's no punishment and reward. Because there's no judgment. Judgment is a limitation of human consciousness that doesn't allow for unconditional love. Here, there's only the energy of the loving Creator. You're part of the energetic family of the Creator. You should know this, and you should also have the wisdom to understand that all these things you've glued onto God are your human attributes. That variety of reality on the other side of the veil. It's very different from that prison reality you've created for yourself in three-dimensionality. And since that's all you've got, that's how you think. It's time to stop that perception and realize that the Creator's energy is above your ability to see and beyond the bounds of your understanding. For centuries, you've been unable to step out of the perception box of what God should look like. So you created a human-like God, and conflicts in heaven, battles of angels, stories that could explain the devil-fallen angels, pearly gates on the list of what to do and what not to do, and many rules still based on that culture. Age counted in centuries. You created golden streets there, and even sexual pleasure as a reward for men, of course. And all of this is humanity's viewpoint glued onto God. I want to tell you that it's something completely different. I want to remind you that there are those who have seen it. Why don't you ask someone who's been through what you call a near-death experience? When a person is on the brink of death, they come very close to the veil. They come so close to the Creator's energy for the first time and almost feel its touch. When the hearts of these people almost stop and their breath completely ceases. Before doctors bring them back to life, they manage to briefly touch the hand of God, and what they see is magnificent. The energy before them is filled with love and light, filled with family, filled with beauty. There's no struggle there. There's no punishment or even a hint of it. They never go back after that experience. Listen to what they're telling you. Has it changed their lives, hasn't it? Listen to each of them, because they repeat that there's nothing to fear there. Death is perceived as a regular transition. Blessed is the human being who experiences death and birth and has the wisdom to say, "Oh, this is unpleasant, but I'll go through it because I've already done it." A person who has undergone a near-death experience no longer fears death. What does that tell you? They've seen what's there, and they've embraced it. How many times do you think an ancient soul has done this? All of you will go through this again. Every one of those sitting in this room will experience it again. And you will return, forgive me, but that's how it is. Haven't I talked about this before? On the other side of the veil, you have the consciousness of God, not the consciousness of a human being. You see the Akasha and know who you are. You see the lineage purpose of who you are. And you cannot stay on my side of the veil until you become whole, until you become complete. And here you are in the midst of the great shift, the very one you've been waiting for. This shift must move the planet so that when you return, you can finally put the last period. Do you understand what I'm talking about, this transition? When you return, you'll finally be able to do what ancient souls inevitably do. Some of you are over 501,000 years old. And are you going to stand aside? Are you going to miss the end of the transition? You've taken in much more here than you know. God becomes mythology. In the old energy, people even set limits for God, creating many gods from one. They created one god for the ocean, one for the sky, and even gave them children. The gods had anger, reward, sensual love, and hatred. It was like this with all the Greek gods. They had tangled stories of deceit, lies, cunning, and revenge. All of this was attributed to God. Have you ever heard of a vengeful God? It's a human attribute based on the energy of fear. There's nothing to fear. You grow up and begin to understand that the true energy of the Creator is within. Communication with God happens instantaneously. Neither you nor him need a mediator. Perhaps he was needed in the old energies. That's why he existed. But now he's not needed. Worship. Let me talk about worship, and even give you some specific worship. Blessed is the human being who meets another human being, or a group of human beings to lead their divinity. Is this worship? So what exactly are you worshipping? Are you going to kneel before the great divine power in the heavens? Or are you worshipping what is God inside you? You know the answer because humanity is beginning to understand it and starting to change. There's a microshift, and I feel the spatial energy around you that you can't feel. I feel that this box is starting to crack and open up. Do you know what has been happening in this room over the years, starting from the 80s? Do you know what has been happening here? The temple of the church unity. Insight, joy, transmutation of sorrow and fear into peace, immense wisdom and understanding. Do you know how many human beings have experienced healing in this room? Their number is almost endless. The lineage of that space where you sit knows that I'm speaking the truth. Even the tree, the carpet, or the panina bear a magnificent message of change for me. I see all of this. And from this I cry tears of joy for those who have found their 7 inches here. But that's not all. For then the Spirit looks at those who built this building with the purpose and intentions of the builders. But it doesn't stop there. It goes further, honoring those who gave a name to this building, their purposes, their visions, the synchronicity of their lives. This pair is not just any pair. It's Phil and Lee. If they hadn't taken on this task in the old energies, if they hadn't struggled with many points of view, would this building be here? And the synchronicity of healing wouldn't have taken place. That's what the Spirit sees, our perception. What is our perception, dear human being? I'll tell you that in this room, there are those in whom we see the same lineage as the founders of this temple. In other words, there are seeds here that fall into the ground, the beginning of synchronicity that will create, instead of worship, a place of healing within someone's life. And I don't mean the building, I mean the 7 inches receiving healing. Do you know who I'm talking about? I hope you do. At this moment, I address those in this building, not as readers or listeners. I speak with these bodies in this building, and I proclaim to you that there are those here who can leave differently than how they came. They can leave not as they arrived. They can leave carrying a seed implanted within them that will truly help those around them to impact others, and through them, those others, who affect others around them. The pyramid of joy begins here. I use this term for the first time. This is what we see, and this is our perception, the pyramid of joy. Sometimes my partner is asked why he doesn't open his eyes when channeling. The reason is that by using him, we allow him to see what we see. The culmination of your many lives, your wisdom, what you learned being shamans, and now sitting in the room, pretending to be just ordinary. We see the probability of what you can do and what's coming and what won't happen if you don't believe in it. Do you understand the depth of what I'm saying? If you leave this room unchanged, if you don't open your heart, no one will punish you. The same number of angels will leave with you as with the healers, but along with them, the lost opportunity will leave. In this room, there are those who came here for healing, and that's why I'll simply ask, do you want it or not? And if yes, don't think it will happen right here, and when you leave, don't rush to get a blood test. What if instead, something is implanted within you that will give you information and wisdom to continue living and meet someone who knows what to do to extend your life? What if? And don't decide how it should happen. Understand the process of synchronicity, the planting of spiritual seeds that will lead you to places you might not have reached. That's how healing works. It also applies to healing in your workplace, and you know who I'm talking about right now, because some of you came here with this issue. I'll tell you how to heal these situations, although you don't really want to believe it. Healing starts with you. You scream to God that your job has turned into hell because of this terrible person. Is it all his fault? He's a complete bully, loves to humiliate you. So how could what you do affect all this? Step out of the box of what you've been told about how it happens. Listen, when you calm down in the face of your problem, when it stops pushing the buttons of drama, anger, and disappointment, see what happens with that person. They don't get the reaction they used to. They don't get the drama energy from you. Everything remains the same, but without the disappointment. The buttons aren't being pushed. And you know what happens next? They stop pushing them. To exist, they absolutely need your dramatic reaction. When you stop reacting, they have to look for other options. Do you understand how this process works? Let it start within you. The solution is always with you. Mastery. Among all the masters who walked this earth, was there a trait that everyone noticed? People loved them. Animals loved them, children loved them, nature loved them. They could walk among the plants, and they would bloom, it's true. They possessed a creative energy, and everything in nature saw it, children saw it, animals saw it. Even grounded adults, those dominated by old energies who perceived nothing spiritual, simply wanted to sit beside them. Were the masters the best friends to them? They listened without any hidden agenda. They could laugh at life and at what surrounded them, giving joy to the people around them. A sense of lightness, always creating joy wherever they went. Their lives were infectious, and everyone wanted to sit next to them, just to listen, just to be and absorb what they offered. And what they offered was not just wonders that occasionally happened. They offered a state of peace, comfort amidst sorrow and suffering. Just one moment spent with them could dispel even the heaviest depression or drama. At the entrance of this church hangs a painting depicting a laughing Christ. Perhaps Christ doesn't relate to your religion or your spiritual lineage. Do you know that none of that mattered to him? So why should it matter to you then? Many people want to become like him. Why not try, even for just a moment? Say what you want, but can you imagine him being here? What would this magnificent master offer you? I'll tell you. He would offer you reverence, love, friendship, and peace. He would never try to recruit you into his followers or ask you to join anything. He simply cared. All masters behave like this, every single one, and you would simply want to sit next to them, feel their love, enjoy their presence, and know that everything is all right. Do you know I'm right? So here's a puzzle for you. How would you feel about becoming so alive inside, so bright, that everyone around you simply wants to be with you? They wouldn't expect anything from you. They would just want to be with you. A new paradigm, the evolution of the human spirit. It's about more and more people becoming like that. Political issues won't make them scream at you, and their faith in God in any form won't either. With them, you'll feel safe, and you'll know you're cared for. They won't bore you with endless listings of what's wrong in life. Instead, they'll lift you up. Do you know what will happen over time if most people become like that? It's the answer to peace on earth. And how could it not be when nobody has any hidden agendas and everyone cares for each other? Will you say it's too idealistic, too unrealistic? Time moves slowly, but it's already happening. It's happening in the most unlikely places on earth, where politicians and orators stir up trouble in the heart of the country. It's happening. Where they plot to drop bombs on children. It's happening. Seeds grow slowly, but time is on the side of the master gardener. Mothers, take note. I'll tell you something, Mum. If you're going through a shift, one aspect of perception is that your children will leave you. You worry that you might look too unfamiliar, too strange in their eyes. There are those who tell others that you've joined some cult. Someone needs to read this now. Don't be afraid. Because children, will they see God in you? They won't consider you crazy. Don't hand them a book to read. Just be a wonderful mum. They'll find their books. Give children the opportunity to feel the beautiful creative energy within you. One day they will approach you and say, "Mum, we don't know what happened to you, but we like it. We like the new mum." This is happening everywhere. A shift in perception creates masters in the workplace, in families, in politics, and even in prison. This isn't about religion. It's about compassion for humanity and the blessings it brings. It's about the evolving human spirit on planet Earth, which goes beyond any doctrine or organization. That's our perception. Humanity is evolving. Often it's the long-term planting of spiritual seeds that won't bloom until you return in another body. What about it? But if you don't do it right now, if you don't allow these seeds to penetrate the soil in your next life, you'll face the same problems you have now. So why not make the adjustment now that will allow you to change your Akashic record? Regardless of your future, regardless of your embodiment or expression, will you come ready to work with the light on, and you'll never have to go through that again? What you've been through this time, how do you like it? This is what a human being can do in this energy. And that's exactly how we see you today. God living in the heavens is not scary at all. It's a majestic family, it's a partner reaching out to you. Can you get out of the idea that God is great and you are small? Can you get out of the idea that God lives in heaven and you don't? Can you instead accept that you are everywhere and that God is you? When you leave here today, you won't be alone. When you face a shocking problem or disappointment, can you learn to breathe calmly, relax, and get the answer you need. Maybe you'll get this answer not in the third dimension. Maybe they won't be numbers or words, but you'll know which way to turn because you'll feel it. Trust your feelings above all else. This is barely perceptible. This is what you're not used to. But this is the energy you're learning to feel, and it stretches beyond this box you're in. Don't analyze it. Don't judge it with your mind. Listen to your heart. There's a balance between the mind and the heart. It's necessary to enter the areas we're talking about. Don't discard logic entirely. Amplify it with your heart. There's a woman sitting in this room who once wielded a very large sword, and does she know who she is? There was no equal in battles. And now she holds the sword differently. Today this sword is of truth. It destroys drama. It destroys everything inappropriate. And now her sword is even bigger. Do you know who you are? Maybe it's time for you to listen to what's inside. Your DNA knows. Inside your DNA, 90% is a spiritual mystery. 90% of DNA is quantum. Less than 5% of DNA creates over 1,000 human genes. The three-dimensional part that scientists consider the template of humanity. But it's not a template. It's in those 900%. It's energy, beautiful information, the highest angel inside, mentors, and impressive Akashic records. All this mastery is in every human being, and you're starting to activate it. That's what brought you here today, isn't it? It feels strange to be here. But I know why you came. I know what brought you here. Do you all have something in common? You're all my family. Do you remember what the universe looks like? You can hardly wait to experience it like that again. Beautiful beyond words, shining with energies that you will remember when you return, complemented by your soul, astronomers. Be careful because you're looking at a loving creator, and you can see him in what's created in the universe. It's predisposed to life. There's nothing random about it. There's a certain system, and physicists are just beginning to discover it. You even gave it a name, intelligent design. If you want evidence that God is good, do you have a terrible God, or do you have a family member? We'll leave you with this question. Perception. How can you fear him if he's part of you? Change your perception. When will you do that? To discover something unexpected. As you vibrate higher, everything that was previously at higher vibrations will begin to manifest. Previously invisible in lower vibrations, these energies will become evident, and by moving to higher vibrations, you will be able to use them. The tools are there untouched and ready to work. Manifestation is behind you. A longer life, the disappearance of diseases, the ability to change your own cellular structure. The composition of your cells can possibly do what only stem cells can. Now it will all be governed by the thought of your consciousness. And has it always been this way? But you need to start vibrating higher to see this and start using it. Perception. How do you perceive us? Hopefully it's different today, and you'll see us as we are, as seven reaching out to you, like seven ready to take you on a journey you never imagined. Is that really the case? The end.